Greetings. My name is Bruce Armstrong. I'm a volunteer with the Senior Center Tech Connect group out of Longmont, Colorado, SCTC. And I am working on a Windows 10 computer here. I'm trying to give some information to folks on how to make a Windows 10 computer last longer than you think it might be able to. Some ways to speed it up. It's something we see a lot. Now, let me just go to our just a little advertisement for our website. Let me see if I can do the share screen business. And I'll show you this is our website. It's just Longmont, SCTC.org. And the website has a whole lot of stuff in it. At the top, you can see, let's see if we can get this screen sharing thing out of the way. There it goes. We've got a new thing called a wiki, which is going to give you information and videos on a lot of information, what you may want to know about artificial intelligence, AI, if you're an Apple user, Windows user, avoiding scams, cheap computing. There's all kinds of cool stuff here that we've discovered over time and whatever. Now, we are associated with the Longmont Senior Center, and here's their Go magazine, which gives you all the stuff the Senior Center does, but we are one little arm of that with a bunch of volunteers. The next one is the calendar. You can sign up for emails to find out what we are doing as SCTC, and all the different meetings and classes and personal sessions that we help on one-on-one. That all the schedules are in there. We do have a YouTube channel that you can click on. Here's another place you can get into the new wiki offering. And if you're so inclined, we always need volunteers here in Longmont for people that are in Longmont. And then there's some other sites that we give on here. And then way down at the bottom, there's some things you can request help, and that puts you in touch with somebody in our group that may be able to help you one-on-one. There's some help tutorials and videos. You can submit a question or comment. We do have a Facebook page, the Digital Neighborhood Group, where we have little tidbits and cartoons and things like that. And again, another place to sign up for emails, and then other places that we know of around the country that Tech for Seniors, Senior Tech Ed, and Senior Planet. So that's our website. Now back to the task at hand. Let me see if I can get back there. I'll stop the share screen, and we will talk about some things that I have discovered. That's why I'm using a Windows 10 computer. I don't have one anymore, but I need to show you the things that can be done on a Windows 10 computer to speed it up if it seems to have gotten, like we are, older and slower and not moving as well. And kind of the first thing that I do is I get into I'm going to share the screen here. And I am going to go to, well, let me see how to do this here real quick. If I go, well, the easiest way that I know is the old-fashioned way of hit Control-Alt-Delete on your computer. And let's see what, oh, it's coming up. I don't know whether this is visible, but one of the things on there is something called the Task Manager. And let me try to share that. And we've selected the Task Manager. Let's see if I've got that. This is a tricky thing here. There's the Task Manager that came up. And the thing about the Task Manager is it shows you what's operating on your system at any given time. And the first one that always comes up is I have Microsoft Edge up, I have Task Manager running, and I have Zoom meetings running. And that each one tells you how much memory it's using in the computer. And then it shows all the background processes underneath there. And one of the first things that I check on is the Microsoft Edge service. This is one thing that I have found interesting. If you go down this list of background processes and you see multiple appearances of Microsoft Edge or anything, you've basically got multiple things running of the same thing. So when you find those background processes of Edge, in fact, on this computer, when I was working on it this morning, there were 8 different appearances of Edge running, and that slows your computer down. So the first thing you can do is you can right click on any one of these and say end task. That's not going to hurt your computer, but it gets rid of something that's running extra. And so that's the first thing you do. And then up here in the tabs of your task manager, another thing you can check on to speed it up is go to the tab that says startup. And this is a list of all the things that start up. When you start up the computer first time, all of these things are the first thing that come up. And this particular computer has a whole bunch of stuff that's enabled, and some of them are disabled. But the fewer of these you have in the startup thing that you're not using enabled, the better off you are. So you can just click on one of these. Say I wanted to the Microsoft Edge update. And if I click on that and I right click on it and say disable, and maybe I want to disable it. I'm not going to do that right now, but that's something that you could do. Cleaning all those things up, it takes more time for your computer to do stuff in the beginning. Now, another thing that, going back to my screen here, if you go to, let me see, go into settings, and in Windows 10, several ways to get there, but I always go to the start button down in the lower left-hand side of the computer, and then find the settings thing over here on the left. It looks like a little gear. And hopefully it'll come up. This computer is still a little bit slow, but it has been speeded up quite a bit by the things that I've been able to do. So let me just come on to settings. Okay, here are the settings in the Windows 10 environment. And one of the things you want to check is go into your update and security. And since this isn't my computer, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to get when I get in here. But I go into Windows Update. And it's going to go through and see what programs and system things need to be done to make it up to date. This one says you're up to date. So everything's been in here. You could check for updates, but typically it does it on its own when you're not looking. And just another aside is this particular computer does not meet the minimum system requirements to run Windows 11. So that's why this computer has not been upgraded to Windows 11. So if you have a bunch of updates in here, you may as well just, when you're not using the computer, go ahead and let the computer do it. I'd put it on automatic updates if I were you. Now, if we go back and go down one level in the settings again to update into security, one of them is called security. And that one is just a check. If you have any viruses or malware in your computer, that can slow your computer down. This one, you see all these little green check marks on the side of each one of these things under security means this particular computer is fully covered by all of the security that it's being used. So if you see a yellow one, you would go into that and find out what's going on. Is something wrong? There is also another thing, and I'll just show you. If I go into Edge here and I add another tab if I can get past my little screen here. I'm going to say this is above and beyond the capabilities of the virus protection that Windows automatically malware bytes that we recommend to either install on your computer, and there is a free download, and get them to harass you to try to pay for it. But it still works, and it does a check of something called malware, which is something that we've seen appear quite some time. The next thing to try is to go to cleaning up your disk space. And that means I go into the same settings menu, and I type in a setting here at the top, and I say disk, if I can spell, cleanup. No results. Maybe if I type it in the search button down at the bottom here, disk clean up. There are several programs out there that do this, and they were necessary in the, I call them ancient days, but it wasn't that too far ago that most of us had mechanical hard drives in our computers that stored all of our stuff. And that caused problems. Sometimes you'd lose all your data because it would just quit on you. And now most of the computers, if not all, have solid state storage devices inside of them. And you're not going to have the kind of trouble that with disk drives. But here's the disk cleanup. And if you select the C drive, for example, which is the main drive on almost any computer, and go ahead and do a disk cleanup and say, okay, and it will go in there and check things. I think this is a pretty old Lenovo computer, and it's going to take a while, so I'm just going to cancel it and not actually do it, but it's available to you. I would not do it on, there's a next thing that they talk about as possibilities, is to do it, they called it defragging the hard drive, and that was only for the old mechanical hard drives. And you can't do it on a solid state drive. So unless you have an old mechanical hard drive, I wouldn't do that. But defragging your drive can be something to speed things up. The next thing is to, let me see if there's anything. I use another program which you can get by downloading. And the PC Manager is another very good thing to try to speed up your computer, because it does some things that you may not think to do, like getting rid of the files that are not temporary files that are not used anymore. Now, I can't see whether this has come up anywhere. Okay. It's supposed to be running, so I haven't seen it come up yet. Let me try it again. Okay, hopefully this will come up. Little circles going around, so we'll give it some time. Go make yourself a cup of coffee. Anyway, I'll just describe it while it's waiting to come up. PC Manager is something that will take temporary files and delete them off your hard drive. It will also take unused files. It will also just clean up your disk space and that sort of thing. And here it comes. Finally, he's coming. Very slow on this computer, but maybe that's because it hasn't missed view here. There's showing that 84% of the memory is being used now. There are no temporary files. I think maybe I've done a PC thing to get rid of temporary files. But if you just click on Boost here, and while that's waiting, there is a health check. There are some apps in process. You could do a deep cleanup. Sort of disappeared, so I don't know where it went. Well, anyway, you can use PC Manager, and it will be a very good tool for speeding up some of your computers. Now, the last thing I'm going to show you, I'll just ignore that. Maybe it'll come up when I'm not. Other thing is add, but if I do click on the Start menu and go to Settings, thing about slow computers is you have to wait on them. When you run into a very slow computer or have some of these start off with whatever one that is in Windows 10. Let's look at security. Yeah, I'm going into update and security. I think that's where it is. I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's under recovery. Click on recovery. Again, this is kind of your last ditch effort, and it seems to work. Is first thing up here is reset this PC. And I'm not going to go into that on this one, but what that does is reinstall the Windows onto your computer all over again and resets everything. And the most important thing, if you ever did this, is the first thing it'll ask you when you say click on the Get Started, it will ask you, do you want to reset the PC and keep all of your other files on the computer? Or do you want to allow Windows to totally reset your computer and wipe out all your files? And I think it's the first option you want. And we've been pretty successful with that. It will reinstall Windows, and sometimes that just cures all the problems in the end, and when you couldn't find it any other way. Anyway, those are some ways that you could speed up your computer. Let me get back out of the stop the share and get back to me in the picture. And I hope this is helpful. And there's a lot of stuff in here. There are a lot of things you can do. You can use Google to search and find out other ways to do it if none of these work. But speeding up your computer and keeping it healthy until and when you decide that you have to go to Windows 11, either by doing it on your own computer or by buying a new computer that has Windows 11. Because in November, I think it is, of 2025, they're going to quit supporting Windows 10, and then you run the risk of possible viruses and that sort of stuff because they won't be giving updates. At least that's the word now. And so you might want to plan ahead. It should, but trying to keep your computer working for another year, to me, is a good thing. So take care, and I hope this has been helpful.